For the better part of last weekend up to yesterday, Kenyans on Twitter, as usual, took the government head-on. Why? Because the prices of basic commodities are skyrocketing. Even the price of a matchbox is now at 7 shillings from the usual 3 shillings. The price of sugar, 1 kg, went up from 90 shillings to 140, 150. The price of maybe even maize flour skyrocketed from 100 shillings to around 120. So Kenyans, in their usual way, went on Twitter, castigated the government, and that castigation by Kenyans made Azimio la Umoja members of parliament, Kenya Kwanza members of parliament, to clash on the skyrocketing cost of living. Kenya Kwanza, led by William Ruto and Musalia, held a press conference in Meru. The press conference was read by, or the message was read by ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, and they were clear that since the handshake, the cost of living, the prices of basic commodities went up, and they are saying they contribute to that, to the handshake. So I want to ask you, do you believe that the handshake contributed to the skyrocketing prices of commodities like hunger, sugar, salt, fuel, and the rest? On the other hand, the Azimio allied members of parliament, led by Junet Mohammed, Kanini Keka, replied, and they said William Ruto has been in government for the last 9 years. He should not come here, take a podium, say that the prices of goods is skyrocketing, yet is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. And by the way, all these people are in government. In fact, the opposition and the government of the day, led by Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, should explain to us why. Because they cannot be blaming one another, yet we as Kenyans, we are suffering. So, in fact, that tag in Twitter, the hashtag lower food prices, was trending #1 yesterday. So, I don't know where you are. How is the prices of basic commodities in your area? Just tell me. But before I continue to dig into this conversation, let me read for you what the Constitution says about the role of Parliament. Because these guys are in Parliament. If you are not a governor, you are either an MP, MCA, or a senator. These guys have a role to play in the current situation of Kenya's economy. Let me read for you Article 95, subsection 4, A and B. What does it say? Article 95 is stipulating the role of National Assembly, and I will go specifically to sub-article 4, where it says the National Assembly, A, determines the allocation of national revenue between the levels of government as provided in Part 4 of Chapter 12. 2, appropriates funds for expenditure by the national government and other national state organs. And finally, C is to exercise oversight of national revenue and its expenditure. So these guys cannot come here, tell us that the government is borrowing too much, yet their work in the National Assembly is to oversight. Check the expenditure, check how the government borrows. If you borrow beyond our limits, then we will be in problems. So in this video, I want to explain to you why this government has failed. One is that since 2013 up to now, this government has been borrowing, nothing else in the name of infrastructure. They borrow, they come and steal, and then they borrow, come and steal, and then they borrow, come and steal. William Ruto should not come and say he has not been involved in this borrowing scheme. Remember when Aden Duale was the majority leader in the National Assembly, that is when things, when the debt ceiling was raised. These guys are saying the national debt now is at 11 trillion. I just went through the CPK website and I found that as per 2021, it was around 7 point something trillion. I don't know how they got the 11 trillion, but of course, where they say it was a political arena, so we expect. But what are the reasons why I say this government has failed? Number one, borrowing. Number two, there is no clear budgetary allocation of resources. They borrow this money, they cannot budget it. That's why they will end up in the wrong hands or in the wrong projects, which they can either stall and they cannot be completed. Again, this government is unable to tame corruption, because what is one of the problems? Corruption. So what are the solutions to this ballooning debt? Number one, reduce fuel cost. Two, subsidize, lower the cost of production, like fertilizers and the rest. And then put a regulation that when we borrow money, we should have a clear way of spending those amounts of money, because we will not just borrow and then spend anyhow. So instead of these MPs coming up blaming one another, the other one is blaming Handshake, the other is blaming William Ruto. No, these guys, all of them have failed, and they should go home as early as 8 a.m. on the 9th of August this year. So I want to thank Kenyans because they went on Twitter, lamented well, and that is why these guys are replying. And for me, there is no way we can say we will have a peaceful country when the people are suffering. We should be told how much this country owes to China, how much this country owes to the local lenders or domestic lenders, etc. But coming and complaining that so and so is responsible, like the Kenya Kwanza are saying Raila Amolo Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta are responsible, they are just borrowing and stealing. Raila Amolo Odinga is not in government. William Ruto is in government, and I don't know why he's complaining. He should be defending his post. I don't know what to think, but if you're watching the channel for the first time, kindly subscribe. Thank you.